Hey, founders, happy Friday. It's Tanya here with more financial intel and insight to blow your mind and build your bottom line. Hey, today's video is all about, it's actually carrying over from last week, and it's all about inventory management. And I want to preface it with a story. And that is that several years ago, almost 10 years ago now, 2015, I was working with two women that owned a gift shop. They actually purchased a gift shop. It was an existing business that they came in to purchase. And like many gift shops, it carried almost everything under the moon, from cards and jewelry and purses and flowers. They had a garden center in there and candles, you name it. It was 10,000 square feet. Approximately 7 of that were for sales. And then the other 3,000 was for their stockroom. Now, like with everybody who goes in to buy a business, they wanted to see the financials. They were looking at the numbers, and there's decent sales. They were consistent sales year over year. The net profit was marginal. I'd say I'm going to just rough out a 3% net profit margin, net income, right? That bottom line. But the inventory, when they looked at the balance sheet, they saw that there was inventory that was valued at over $1 million. And I'm just throwing numbers out there. These aren't actually the numbers. So they said, okay, overall, let's offer 1.5. They offered 1.5 million, and they took out a loan of 1.2 to be able to acquire that business and put in the owner's equity for the remainder. All right. So now these ladies have a business. It's going relatively well for them. Their revenue, it spiked for a bit when they first took over ownership, and then it came down to consistent numbers to what the previous owner had. But their net profit was starting to fall off, and that's when they called me in. And so after doing some financial forensics, going through all the typical questions that we asked, I started to turn to the conversation about inventory and asking them if they could tell me more about their inventory. And that's when they realized that they had very few answers. So that was the task. They were given a month to go through their inventory to really figure out, what was moving, what wasn't moving, what was the cost of it, and then get back to me so we could figure out next steps. Well, the results were staggering, because what they realized is that 75% of their inventory wasn't moving. When they actually really dug into it, like literally dug into it, they were pulling out boxes that hadn't seen the light of day in the last 10 years. And when they went through those numbers, that 75%, all of their high turning over inventory was at the front and making marginal margins on it. It didn't make sense. Well, it makes sense, but it's a tongue twister. And the rest wasn't moving. Now, here's why that was eroding their bottom line. So obviously, not making sales on inventory doesn't work for business. But we also have the carrying costs of the storage, right? So 75% of their inventory, I can't do the math on it right now, but let's just say 2,000 square feet of inventory wasn't moving. And they have to pay for that square footage. And then third, they had the carrying cost of the loan that they used to buy that inventory at, again, I'm going to throw out a number, 8%. So that would mean that over $300,000 in interest is going down the drain on inventory that isn't moving. That's where they were losing their bottom line. So I'm sharing that story with you because inventory management is critical. It makes or breaks a business. Now, here are 3 questions had they had asked up front, instead of just looking at inventory before they purchased the business, would have made a dramatic difference to the price that they had offered for that inventory. So I guess really understanding A actually starts with one of the inventory management techniques, which is ABC, which is understanding what parts of your inventory are high value, the A, what parts of your inventory, what stock is B value, moderate, and what part of your inventory is C stock, which is low. Really having an understanding, asking that question up front, and getting that owner to identify, here's our A category, our B category, our C category. All of you, if you're carrying inventory, you should hopefully know that those ABCs of your inventory stock. Now, second question, how fast does that inventory turnover, right? All of that inventory might have different turnover rates. And really, are the inventory levels sufficient to meet demand? So not just do you have enough, but let's make sure that there's no excess. Right. So those are three questions. Now, in the post that I wrote this week, you'll find the link to it below. I have 9 other questions that you should be asking yourself when it comes to inventory management and making sure that you're making the right decisions for the business and your bottom line. And I've also added 2 inventory tracking methodologies. One is ABC that we just spoke of, that I just mentioned, and the other one is called Kanban. And Kanban is more of a visual representation system that starts to recognize where your inventory levels are at and what you need to start moving or reordering, right? So that you can make sure that you're getting the best dollar on that inventory and not getting stuck with stale stock. The bottom line is this to inventory management. I said it last week and I'll say it again. When you manage your inventory, it increases your efficiencies within your organization. And obviously, efficiencies come in the form of time. They come in the form of money for sure, but they also come in the form of reputation, right? As well, when you think about meeting that demand of the customer. So I'm going to leave it there. This is Tanya signing off, reminding you that you've got to know your numbers if you're going to nail them. If you like this sort of intel and insight, make sure to subscribe, hit like, please, and thank you, and share it with others. I come to you every Friday with more intel and insight to blow your mind and build your bottom line. I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.